Right after the United States became a nation, the first great wave of immigration began. No Ellis Island, no visas, no long lines. Just a new country, open borders, and a simple promise. If you're free, if you're white, if you stay just a few years, you can become a citizen. That first journey, in those first decades after independence, is where this story begins. And from there, a pattern emerges. A pattern of mass immigration roughly every 100 years or so, centered on three periods: the late 1700s into the early 1800s, the late 1800s into the early 1900s, the late 1900s into the early 2000s. This isn't a perfect clock. It's not meant to be a scientific law. It's a framework, a way to see how the country reshapes itself in waves. And for much of the U.S. history, that story is especially the story of the population who arrived, from where and under what rules. The first wave starts just after the Revolution. In 1790, the first census counts about 3.9 million people in the new nation. Close to 90% of that population is of British ancestry: English, Scottish, Welsh, or Scottish-Irish. But the doors are open. That same year, Congress passes the Naturalization Act of 1790. Any free person who lives in the United States for 2 years can become a citizen. No test, no quotas, no complex paperwork. Just live here and be free. Between 1783 and the 1920s, roughly 366 Europeans arrived in the young United States. Most are from Great Britain, Ireland, and the German lands. Compared to what comes later, the numbers are smaller, but for that time, it's a clear first pulse of immigration into the new republic. But think what that actually means. Families stepping off the ships or crossing borders into a place that barely has any government yet. No immigration service, no green cards, just a decision. We are here and we are staying. And then they start building a farm, a shop, a church. Names that will, generation after generation, become the American, the real American. This period, late 1700s to early 1800s, sets the pattern. Open policy, European origins, a country eager for people to feel the land and build the economy. It's the first chapter in the story of how the population of the United States was formed. And for many Americans, this is the era where their ancestors first arrived. We fast forward about another century. Now we're in the late 1800s to the early 1900s. From the 1880s into the 1910s, the sources of immigration shift and expand. The crowds at Ellis Island are filled with Italians, Polish, Jews from the Russian Empire, Greeks, and Slavics, along with the continuing flows from Ireland and Germany. Between 1890 and 1919, more than 18 million immigrants arrived. The decade from 1901 to 1910 became the single largest decade of immigration in U.S. history up to that point. This is the second century mark. The first wave, the post-independence era, was the opening act. This one is the main event of the 19th and early 20th centuries. Cities explode, factories hum, tenements rise. Language, religions, foods, all of it layers onto an older British and Irish communities. You can almost hear the change. New accents on the street, new signs above the shops, new prayers in the church and synagogues. And yet, this wave also triggers a backlash. By the 1920s, Congress slams the door with strict national origin quotas, designed to favor certain Europeans and exclude others. For a few decades, immigration drops sharply. The cycle seems to stop. But if you focus on the period itself, late 1800s to early 1900s, it's unmistakably a mass immigration era. Millions arrive, and the country transforms. and the question of who belongs moves to the center of American politics. For many Americans, this is a chapter where their family names arrive. Maybe it's an Italian grandparent, a Polish great-grandparent, a Jewish family fleeing persecution. Different origins than the earlier British and German settlers, same basic pattern. A new wave, a new life, a new version of America. Now jump forward another century. We land in the late 1900s and early 2000s. By this point, the old European quota system was long gone. In 1965, Congress passed a new Immigration Act that ended national origin quotas and opened the door to Latin America and Asia. From 1965 to today, more than 70 million immigrants alive. Since the year 2000, legal immigration has averaged about 1 million people per year. But if you zoom in on the window focus here, late 1990s, early 2000s, you see a distinct surge. In the 1990s bring strong economic growth, tech booms, and expanding global connections. Immigration laws from 1996 and 1996 reshaped visa categories, allowing more high-skilled workers and tightening some enforcement while still opening overall levels. Then in early 2000s, the flow continues even as security concerns rise after 9/11. The U.S. still admits hundreds of thousands of legal and illegal immigrants each year. Border crossings from Mexico and Central America remain high. Students, professionals, and families from India, China, the Philippines, Vietnam, and others and beyond keep arriving in large numbers. This is the 3rd century mark. The origins are different, the routes are different, but the scale is unmistakable. Neighborhoods change, schools adapt, politics shift. Once again, the same questions surface. Are there too many? Too fast? From the right places? The specifics change, the pattern does not. And for more and more Americans, this is the chapter where their family story begins. Maybe it's an ancestor who arrived in the late 1990s, a sibling who came in the early 2000s, a child who grew up speaking 2 languages, living in 2 cultures, different time, different places. Same story of leaving, arriving, and becoming American. So is there really a 100-year immigration cycle? Let's examine again. Late 1700s to the early 1800s, post-independence European immigration forming much of what the early white population is. The late 1800s to the early 1900s, the great southern and Eastern European wave adding new layers to that population. Then in the late 1900s to early 2000s, a modern global wave with heavy flows from Latin America and Asia. Each of these windows is a moment when large numbers of newcomers arrive in a relatively short span. Each one shapes the economy, the culture, and the politics. Each one forces the country to ask, who are we? Who belongs? How much change can we handle? Maybe the 100-year cycle isn't a law of nature. Maybe it's just a story we tell to make sense of the country that keeps remaking itself. But if you line up those 3 periods, late 1700s, late 1800s, and late 1900s, the rhythm is hard to ignore. Every century or so, a new wave comes, and America becomes something else. This isn't a story about one family. It's the story of most Americans. So go back to late 1700s and early 1800s. Some go to late 1800s and early 1900s. Some from the 1990s to early 2000s. But it's different chapters, but it is the same book. Question now isn't whether there's another wave. There always is. The question is, what kind of country do we want to be when the next one arrives? Later, taters.
Attention passengers, we've now reached our destination. We hope you enjoyed the flight and have a nice day.